Good evening and welcome to my villains video. In this video I'll be talking about the villains from Kamen Rider Geats, give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions about them, the hits and misses, and their suits, and also at the very end I'm going to give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions of Kamen Rider Geats as a whole. So without further ado, let us begin. So let's start with Girori, the man whose name I butcher every single time. The one who was hidden in plain sight. In the beginning, I thought that Girori was a butler who just attends the waiting lounge, give the riders either their snacks, soda, food. I thought he was their butler, but it's not the case. He was the game master who was hidden in plain sight, and he is in charge and the reason why all those riders that we saw in the show, that was due to him. He's just an overseer. As a game master, you're in charge of picking your chosen and just seeing how the games are. If something really bad happens, he comes in and deals with the problem personally. He's not supposed to interfere, but unfortunately he did. And when he was revealed to be the game master, I wasn't really that shocked. The only time I was shocked it's when he called the evil greenhouse man and demanded to send down more Jimotos. And I'm like, wait a minute, are those two in cahoots? What's going on here? Because we were led to believe that what the writers were doing was to save the world. Remember, Girori was telling this spiel, whatever, that what you're doing is saving the world from these monsters. But then it was discovered, the DGP were behind, producing these Jimotos. It was all a lie. And then you assumed that he was one of the good guys, because even though he currently lied, he believed that the world deserves to be saved from these monsters. What they're doing is just. But no, it was not the case. He immediately did bad things when he started to grow suspicious towards Ace, because he noticed a couple of things that were really suspicious. For one thing, Ace has been constantly winning all the time, and he knows things that other people should not know. Like, how did he know how to unlock the ninja buckle, for one? How did he know about this? How did he know about that? And it's just very suspicious. And then he encountered the wishes Ace made, and each and every one of them involved the DGP in some matter, shape, or form. And his latest one, that's where Girori was like, nah, Ace needs to go. Because in the last one that he won, he wanted the DGP to be part of his family. Hence, Girori became Ace's father, and of course, Sumida became Ace's sister. And Girori thought that he may be a spy. Maybe he's out there to sabotage or maybe take over the DGP. He does not know. That's why he sent down Pumpjack, aka Win, to just spy / sabotage Ace, because he viewed Ace as a threat to get rid of. That did not work. Because Win just got sick and tired of being controlled. And of course, remember, Win was trying to preserve his memories. If he can't do the job, then his memories get erased. But of course, Girori just, just took back the deal. That's why Win rebelled. But then he ended up controlling Win. And then eventually he got turned into a human bomb. We thought that Ace and Win were both killed. But no, unfortunately Win was the one that died, not Ace. And then we had that final showdown. Well, not necessarily final showdown, but just the one-on-one fight between Ace versus Girori. And we got this badass looking suit. And it's where Girori just officially cheated and just eliminated Ace from the tournament. So his memories got erased. But then it was discovered that Ace knew he's always 3 steps ahead of his opponent. He wrote a note to himself and how to get his memories back. And then that's when Girori was just so upset. And that's where Girori has decided, hey, maybe I should let Keiwa do the job for me, join forces, because he deems worthy of being the god of desire. He's the embodiment of what a Kamen Rider is. And, both of them share the same interests of saving the world. Why not? But it didn't work. And then this is where Girori decided to take matters to his own hands again. And then Niram stepped in, tells Girori that you broke a lot of rules and you're out. And Girori tried to explain his actions. He tried his best to give out his grievances to Niram, that you cannot trust Ace, he's up to something. There's a reason why I did what I did. But Niram, at the end, he got, pulled a Thanos, and you see him disappear. The Vision Driver just went down to the ground, and then he took it away. And that's it. That was the end of Girori. And we saw online that the actor received his flowers. We will never see Girori again. But you and I, we were wrong. Because at the final episode, you see a group of game masters all in mask. And one of them, for some reason, the camera has decided to get a close shot at that particular game master until we get this mini family reunion where the same game master just went inside the house, and lo and behold, it was Girori himself. And that's where, he decided to help Ace break into the halls of creation. And of course, Samas was shocked as to why he betrayed them. Not necessarily. All he did was break it. Just let Ace in. That's all he did. But he explained himself, saying that Ace is the embodiment of what a Kamen Rider is. He is someone that we all were looking for. Why are you guys doing this? This is not the DGP of old. He was just feeling disgusted. And Ace was like, hey, so you're here, Dosa. Are you gonna help us? Or you're part of that? Are you still gonna remain Zurel's puppet? And he and Girori was like, don't bunch me with those idiots. Hell no. And then the last scene with Girori is that he kind of accepted his fate. He's telling Samas, who is panicking, it's like, no, you have to accept your fate now, because the gate is closed and we don't know what's gonna happen to us, and we're just gonna have to accept it. And he disappears along with evil Sumiri and Samas, who's still screaming. And you don't see the Temple of Desire anymore. So here's the thing. Did the upper management got sent back to their time, or they legitimately got Thanos? It wasn't explained, but Girori is officially gone. Now, after saying all that, do you think that he is a villain? Personally, I don't think so. He did a lot of bad things, most specifically to win. And of course, he tried to get rid of Ace multiple times, but it didn't work. And, he thought he was doing the right thing for the DGP. I mean, I have to give kudos to that, because he's loyal to the DGP and he will do anything to protect it, to the lengths of getting himself fired, which he ultimately did, and with his life. So you have to give credit to that. But is he considered a villain? No, I don't think so. I could be wrong. This is just an opinion, Just write in the comments below. Do you think Girori is an actual villain, or he's just a man who just did a lot of bad things because he deemed Ace to be a threat to the DGP? It's a valid question, One last thing. Do you think, let's say, with the suspicions and everything and the wishes and all that, did you think that it would it mattered if Girori would have confronted Ace and just shows off these wishes and demands an explanation as to what is this? What's up with this latest wish of, the DGB being your family? What's going on? What's your reason? Do you think Ace would trust him enough to tell him the truth? And let's say he did tells Girori the truth. I'm here to find out what happened to my mom. Do you think that Girori would have just let go of his suspicions and let Ace be, and maybe tell him about his mom if he knows? Or will he rat Ace out and just give his grievances to Niram and maybe Suel? I don't know. That would be an interesting food for thought. If Ace and Girori would have just hashed it out and trusted each other, then all of that with the memory erasing, the wind getting involved, I think it wouldn't have happened. But I understand why, because we wouldn't have all this drama, but I don't know, it's food for thought. But Girori at the end, I feel that he was loyal to the DGP, like I mentioned before, and he was hidden in plain sight. Just, just see how his chosen are like or whatever. I don't know what his reasons were. But ultimately, I think he does believe, of saving the world. It's just, I can't believe he lied about it, because, the DGP sponsored the Jimoto's production. So why are you sending out the creatures that deemed to be a threat to the world, and you give this spiel that, oh, you need to defeat these monsters because they're a threat, even though my company is sponsoring them, mass produced them? It just reminds me a whole lot of Aliens. Because if you guys are a fan of the Alien franchise, the humans in that universe saw the xenomorph to be a creature worth controlling. They are machines of death. And can you imagine, and that was their whole idea, mind you, if mankind, let's say the USA, had the ability to control those creatures and use them for war purposes, can you imagine? Can you imagine the other countries? It's like another nuclear bomb, Like, we are already a nuclear country. Can you imagine America controlling the xenomorphs, let's say? But the thing is about xenomorphs is that humanity will learn the hard way that these creatures cannot be controlled. Same way with the Jimotos. Because the moment the evil greenhouse man had decided to cut away from the DGP because he was sick and tired of how these creatures he helped breed are being used for these games, and he found a way to like make him at least try to make him learn how to talk, to replicate the dead, that sort of thing. I don't want to add in evil greenhouse man in this because we'll talk about him later, but I'm just trying to make a point here. How we got there, I have no idea. I just wanted to make a point about something which I forgot. But anyways, do you deem Girori as a villain, or he's just a guy who just got paranoid and just thought that he was a threat and just wanted to get rid of him? Alright, let's move on from, well, before that, I have to say, the fight between him and Neon and Ace and Keiwa, I have to admit, it was, he didn't do much, but it was a okay fight. I really loved the suit. I really do. One of a kind. But other than that, I mean, that's it for Girori. And like I said, and I'll keep mentioning this, if I miss anything specific about a certain character, by all means, write on the comments below. And that's it. Let's move on to a lame brain game master in the name of Chirami. Chirami was the second game master who is the opposite of Girori, and he is special. He's special. I mean, he's a goofball. I can't help but remember that scene when he jumped out of nowhere and scared Keiwa, and he screamed like a girl, and he got depressed the moment he got stolen. The Vision Driver got stolen. He's a lousy fighter. He just, remember that episode where the Jimoto stopped attacking, and Chirami unfortunately became the substitute for this game, and he pulled a UFO. Everybody turned around to see, and he just runs off, and Keiwa was like, is this for real? And then you see the riders trying to fight him, but he constantly dodges. He fights like a girl. He does the worm, and no one caught him. No one caught him until he went into hiding, and the three riders at the time were having their arguments over who's the Death Star, because remember, Neon had this brilliant plan that, hey, this Jimoto is gonna shoot Ace, so I figured, hey, I will take the shot and tell Keiwa, hey, he is the Death Star, he shot me. That was so it's even stupid when I'm just telling this to you guys. It's so stupid. Yeah, well, that happened. Ozu 2.0, the mistress of the game, stepped in, and I think who else stepped in? Was it Michinaga and Daichi? But either way, they creamed Chirami and they stole the Vision Driver, and he's been depressed ever since. Yeah, he is a goofball, but he has another side to him. So, he picked his Death Star in Neon, and he tried to threaten Neon multiple times. He tried to tell her, hey, like, sabotage this guy, sabotage him, vote this way, vote that way, all in the name of sabotaging, because the goal of a Death Star is to survive long enough to make it to the final. And let's say Neon and Ace were the final two. This is where Neon automatically wins because no one eliminated her early. No one picked her as a Death Star. That's how she wins. It's the same as past reality shows with the killer on a loose. Your job as a contestant is to find out the clues and vote off who is the killer. If the killer manages to reach the finals, he automatically wins. And this time during the new regime, it's all about votes. It's all about pleasing the audience. The majority of the audience on your side, the more chances you will win. That's how it worked. The Girori regime was different. And that's why Chirami did everything to turn this into an actual reality show. Have the writers sleep over in the waiting lounge, because the goal is to bring in ratings, bring in discord, mistrust, like a typical Big Brother show. That's what it was. Everything for the sake of ratings. And this is where Chirami reminds me of two characters. One character that I will mention right now is Eric Bischoff. He used to run WCW. He was the general manager of Monday Night Raw, and he was the heel. And he claims that he was pro the fans, but ultimately it's all for him. Everything's for the sake of ratings mostly, and not giving the people what they want. So that kind of reminds me a whole lot in terms of Chirami. And also Eric Bischoff with his karate matches, whether he was a legit karate master or not. I mean, again, reminds me of Chirami with, the cat fighting and the worm. Yeah, reminds me of Eric Bischoff. So yeah. And then everything came to a screeching halt after his Vision Driver got stolen. The JGP came into the picture, and just the mission was to rescue the Vision Driver, which ultimately did. But then you assume business has come again. We're gonna go where we left off maybe, but then Michinaga has declared the DGP as his enemy, and then Chirami in panic mode has told Sumida, hey, give out all the remaining ID cores that we have and have them stop Michinaga. And it didn't work. And ultimately, we get Chirami versus Michinaga. And this is where we get a different side of Chirami, and just he symbolizes what everybody in the future thinks of the writers and everybody else that participates in the DGP. So he gets his driver back, he transforms into Gazer 2, and he pleads to Michinaga that, hey, please don't kill me, I will give you anything. And of course Michinaga says, what are you talking about? I got what I wanted. There's nothing more that you guys can offer me. And then he's just like, wait a minute. No, scratch what I said. I have one last thing that I want. Okay, what is it? Oh, I want you guys gone. No more DGP. I want you guys gone. You're the ones that brought despair upon everybody here. It's better that you guys leave. And this is where Chirami reveals his true self. And then I will tell you guys who reminds me of next. He just went on a tangent saying, like, how dare you bite the hand that fed you? How dare you? We gave you weapons so that you can fight in these games, and you get this wish and blah blah blah. How dare you? And you're supposed to follow our orders and blah blah blah. And he reminds me a whole lot of Batiatus from Spartacus Blood and Sand. From the outside, he deems to be a good guy, cool guy. He's nice to people. He's nice to his slaves. But then, all gets to be revealed later that he is not the case. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He still views his gladiators as scum, as slaves, and that's how Chirami sees these writers. He sees these writers as tools for entertainment purposes. That's why Ace always keeps telling these uprubs that, hey, we're human beings. We're not your playthings. Constantly. And yet, Chirami represents what the higher-ups always thought of them. And maybe, just maybe, the people from the future as well. Because, they don't care about you. Because they can always send in another writer to take one's place. They don't care. They do not care. And now that we know that the DGP did a horrible thing to Ace's mother, you really know that DGP are pieces of cacas. They're pieces of shit. And that's why when Ace returned from the dead and turned the gun towards Chirami, and Chirami was shocked because he thought that Ace would be on his side, but now that he knows the truth, he openly said to Chirami and to everybody in upper management that I'm coming after you because you did a horrible thing to my mom, and I'm coming after you. I don't remember exactly if Chirami got his ass kicked by Ace, or Ace just took a step back and let Michinaga kill him. Either way, that's quite a statement. And then ultimately, Michinaga gives Chirami the finishing blow, and he disappears. And yeah, that's the end of Chirami. There isn't much to say about him except that he is a person that has two sides of him. One side that he's all goofy, he is out there, he's a goofball, he's someone that I don't deem him as a game master at all because he cannot fight. And yet he easily slips away or worms away out of a situation. But then there's another side of him where he is doing whatever he can for ratings. He is twisting Neon's arm, blackmailing her. If you don't do this, then I will expose you. And then just telling Michinaga how he feels about each and every writer who participates in the DGP games. That you're nothing more than gladiators to us. You're nothing more than slaves for our entertainment purposes. How dare you bite the hand that fed you? We gave you your ID cord. We gave you your buckles. We gave you your driver. And this is the thanks we get? What does that tell you? Seriously. What does that tell you in Chirami? Is he a legit villain? Again, he didn't do bad, he didn't do villainous things like killing someone or the attempts to take over the world. He didn't do anything like that, but he did do a lot of bad things. But again, I don't know. It's up to you guys to decide. Other than that, Gazer 2, really. Another you just added a couple of things to the suit. There's no creativeness. I wish the Vision drivers have their own version of the suit that it's very different, not the same thing. But it's either you're here or there. I'm gonna stop there, guys. I promise I will stop there, because I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to make this 3 hours, but anyways, that's all I have with Chirami from what I can remember. If you have something to add about Chirami, you can always go to the comments and add a couple of things. Again, he reminds me a whole lot of Body Artist and Eric Bischoff. That's all I have to say about Chirami. So, let us move on to the next villain. Niram and Samas. Why did I pair the two, especially after what she did to poor Niram? Well, she did nothing. Nothing. Zero. Nada. Like, all she did was play assistant to Niram, betrays Niram, assists Jitto, and then she went to Suel, and the last time we saw her, she was kicking and screaming because the gate did not respond, and Girori just tells her, you need to accept your fate because our people does not want us anymore. And yeah, and you see the flash of light, and she is screaming. Well, not really, but you can hear her in the background, all panicky. And yeah, she did nothing. And I think Yuya was backed into a corner in terms of what to do with her, because after she shot Niram and played assistant to Jitto, she didn't do anything. She had a couple of appearances, but that was it. She didn't do anything to contribute to the DGP cause. She just, like, most of the time she is holding a clipboard, and I'm sure the papers were all blank. She did nothing. I'm sorry, she did nothing. If any of you guys were to tell me, hey, Samas actually did something after she shot Niram, write in the comments below. But seriously, she did nothing. Nothing. However, oh yeah, also, can you imagine she turned into a Kamen Rider? Maybe she would have done something there too, but even then, she would have done nothing. Anyways, but Niram, however, has done something. He contributed. To me, I thought that he would have been an excellent person to counter Ace, especially when they officially met for the first time at that luncheon scene. Which reminds me, like, Niram, for most of his scenes, you see him eating. Constantly eating. I'm surprised you're not even fat. But I'm sure off screen he does his exercises. But yeah, you see him eating almost every single scene. And when he was introduced, he was known to be the mysterious man in a suit with his assistant. And he saw an interest in Ace, and he was the one who gave him the Jet Command buckle, remember? And that helped Ace win, I believe. And then he really became involved when Neon herself was looking for him and took him to where Girori was at the time, while Keiwa and Ace were at the beginning fighting each other, and then they turned their swords on to Girori. And, Girori tried to explain himself since, like I mentioned earlier, as a game master, he's not allowed to meddle at all. But due to the extremes that he did, including the death of Win, that's where Niram has decided that regardless of his intentions, he wasn't supposed to do that, and he got Thanos. He took the Vision Driver and went away. And then when the Chirami regime entered and everything was revealed that, hey, the DGP has its sponsors, Uh, this game, even though Girori told everyone that, hey, you're doing this to save the world, not really, because it got turned into a reality game, a reality show. It always has been, you know. And I and then, like I mentioned earlier, the encounter the between Ace and Niram at that round table where it spins. He was eating Chinese food at the time, I believe it was, and Ace was there, and Niram straight up said that you are very special, Ace, and he openly said, "What the hell are you?" And Ace was like doing his thing as well. And ultimately, I got this vibe by the end of that scene. They were trying to read each other. Like, can I trust this guy? Even though he did help me out at that one time with the Jet Command buckle, and then he got rid of Girori and rectified what he did to me, I still don't know. And also, I'm sure Ace was wondering, maybe does Niram knows what happened to his mother? You know? And Niram, of course, he's just, like he says, he's interested in Ace. He doesn't know who he is. And, you know, just the mysterious aura that just oozes out of Ace just intrigued him deeply. And then, you know, with him as a Kamen Rider, you know, as Kamen Rider Gazer, you know, I like the suit. It's bulkier. It's, you know, you see, it's just a buff out suit, you know. It's the same as Girori's suit, only, like I mentioned, more bulkier. It's more golden, white, blue. I mean, I like it, but I'm just a little bit tired of the repainted suits. That's just my opinion. I wish the Vision writers have a unique, just a unique, like, I want it to be creative when it comes to the Vision writers, but it's just, when you put them in a row, it's all the same except different design and just add-ons and design-wise, but it's still the same suit, and I'm just like, okay. There's no creativeness, there's no personality, but I'm sure Toei Studios burned that money on King Ultra, which I'm not complaining, but it's just, come on, man, you have the money. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Niram, to me, he appeared to be a politician-esque. He is a booker, even though the booker belongs to the game master, since he's the one who gets to decide who can participate and become a Kamen Rider, that sort of thing. But we have the producer who is above the game master. And he got involved because of the Girori situation. So as I mentioned earlier before I rambled, was that him as a Kamen Rider, he is an excellent fighter. He may not look it because he's always calm, he always dressed in suits. You would think that he will be angry, but no, he's always calm, he's passive aggressive. But when he is a Kamen Rider, he really does business. Tell that to Michinaga, and to be fair to Michinaga, he was using a cracked ID core, and even though he was using the Jamoto buckle and the zombie buckle, that ID core was not working, and he had trouble, you know, finding his way due to the suit always malfunctioning, and he was fighting in half strength. But even at 100%, I don't think Michinaga would have survived with Niram, but he got spared. Niram is an excellent fighter, and when he went head-to-head to Ace, those two matches, they were evenly matched. Like, you cannot tell, like you don't know who will come out a winner. But we never gotten a chance to see these matches come to an end, because it always ends abruptly. One of the matches, both of them died because of Michinaga dragging them to hell, And the other, Ace pulled a He-Man again, and he got a new form, a form that only been shown only once. Niram just ran off. Like, he was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna test my strength on this guy, especially in this new form, since I don't know what it is. So he just made a tactical retreat there. So I'm gonna ask you guys this question: if there's no interruptions, who do you think will win? Will it still be Ace, or will it be Niram? Because to me, both of them are evenly matched. And then, of course, I would add Jitto into the mix as well, which I want to do later. And then with what happened with Chirami and the driver, he's just like, hey writers, the DGP tournament is at a screeching halt, and it's your job to go take back Division Driver. And this is where Ace is at that point wants some answers out of Niram. And he usually comes out, even pulled a politician card, but ultimately he says to Ace, look, do what you're told to do, and maybe, just maybe, I will give you answers. Probably not. And if you keep digging for those answers, then I'll be forced to do something you're not gonna like. He even said so. He did the same thing with Gene, if you remember. Gene was, being noisy. He has been asking people like Kawa and Neon about Ace. He even went to Niram at that one time, just really want to know more about Ace. But Niram, I think at that point, knew who Ace was, considering that he was holding his wish cards. And again, Niram just told Gene, it's better for you to just stay out of it. It's better if you do not know, because you're probably not going to like the answer, blah, 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 that sort of thing. But ultimately, Gene find out on his own, and we had that one of those scenes that were meant to be shockers, but it wasn't, because the timing sucked. But I'm not going to go over that scene again, since I beat it to death in the other video and the video after that, so I won't do it here again. I don't want to beat it to death. Then, things change when Azu 2.0 told Ace the truth about them, that they came from the future. And then news got out to Niram that, hey, Ace and everybody else knows the truth. And that's when he just said, you know what, I think it's time to perform the grand end and take our stuff and go away. That was it. And then, of course, when Ace discovered the truth about his mother being turned to stone, that's when Niram has really, okay, I need to get rid of this guy. I need to get rid of him. And that's where it led to the first match, and Michinaga kind of spoiled it. And then leading out to the second match involving Suel, but we didn't see the ending of that match, because when Niram died, of course Suel took over for him, took the driver, and that sort of thing. But other than that, I want to talk what kind of rubbed me the wrong way involving his death. I don't think Niram was the true villain. I think he's the type of guy who works for the DGP, and he will do anything to protect its secrets. That's why he does this run around that he does. And with Ace pressuring him, I couldn't blame him all that much, because he is trying to protect something, for good or ill. But he did the right thing when he tried to protect Sumeri from becoming the goddess of creation, getting turned to stone. And he just saw this is not the DGP of old, this is not right. And he got shot for it. He was betrayed by Samas. And mind you, this is what happened in the beginning of that particular episode. We never see him again until the very end. And I was like, wait a minute. You had plenty of time, like maybe less than 30 minutes, to get to the hospital and get patched up, because I don't think that wound, that gunshot wound, was that fatal. You could have survived that gunshot, either by Sumeri herself or just taking him to the hospital. It didn't happen. Yes, I know I'm using logic, but But then, at that last scene where Ace was on top of that rooftop, and I don't remember why he was there. I think his mother was dangling in the sky with the chains, and then you see Niram hiding in the back and just talking to himself, saying that, look, I'm dying here, and it's sad that, well, he said openly that, Ace, you are indeed special. You have something that many people have dreamed of, whatever, something like that. But I know he said that you're special, and I wish that I could have been here to watch you do your thing and see what you have to offer once you become the next god of creation, that sort of thing, but I'm not going to see it. And then you see him disappear. And then Ace turns around. I'm not sure if he knew that it was Niram hiding in the back talking to himself, or he just, like, he knows that someone's hiding, but he doesn't know who it is. Either way, he knew that someone was hiding. And I'm just like, Yuya, I mean, you gave this man one of the worst deaths, in my opinion, because Niram, I felt like he is an excellent fighter. He oozed leadership. He's a natural leader. He loves to eat, and yet you gave him a worse death known possible. Like, if I were the head writer and want to give Niram a respectable death, I would have done the same thing, except instead of Niram hiding in the back, he could have just walked up towards Ace. Ace just turns around and he is in shock to see Niram shot. He's bleeding out and he faints, and Ace catches him and just say, hey dude, like, I will go call help or something like that. And Niram stops him, like, no, it's too late. I have something to say to you. He will say these things to Ace himself, and then he passes away, and that was it. At least I would have given him that, because Ace, I don't know if Ace viewed him as a bad guy, but at least he will give Niram, like, this expression, like, look, we have fought too many times, but I think he respected me. I think we would have been cool friends or something like that, like, yeah, we butted heads and we died together, but you know what, at least he had the respect to tell me these things, and maybe Ace would have gained some level of respect, something like that. But it didn't happen that way. To me, it's just, they did Niram dirty, in my opinion. Other than that, I mean, that's all I can really say about Niram, because again, this is I'm trying to regain my memories of him from a whole year. It's been too many episodes, but I'm trying my best. But if any of you guys have anything to add concerning Niram, by all means, write on the comments below, because your boy here is trying his best to remember everything involving Niram, but at least I got the important stuff. If I missed anything else, please forgive me. And yeah, that's it. If there's anything else, I will mention it, but right now I don't have anything. Alright, so let's move on to Evil Greenhouse Man, Archimedel. As I know it's not how it's pronounced, but it's close enough. I felt that he was doing right for his Jimotos. Like, I can't condemn him to the fact that he was trying to give the Jimotos a better life. Because I'm sure some time ago, because he was the breeder for the Jimotos, and I think he was working for the DGP at that time, and he created the Jimotos only to throw them at the battlefield for the Kamen Riders to destroy them. And at that point, at some point, he was just sick and tired of it. And he wants to break away from the DGP. He wants to go in front of the goddess of creation and wish for a role for the Jimotos to rule and thrive. Unfortunately, at the expense of humanity. Which I'm going to talk later about Daichi. But yeah, he would do anything for his Jimotos. Hell, like at that one point when he uncovered one of the oldest Jimotos with the teeth, and he got badly injured, and you see him wailing and crying, like, I've been throwing you water, but you're not growing your limbs out. And that's where the moment he saw his arm, he was like, wait a minute, I think I will give you a different kind of fertilizer. And it worked. And then it got to the point where he even sacrificed himself in order for his Jimoto to be healthy again. And then we ended up with Archimedel clone. Because obviously the real Archimedel, the real Greenhouse Man, died the moment he got eaten. At that point, the clone still has his appearance, his thoughts, his personality, everything. Because remember, the Jimotos had developed an ability where they can clone the dead. Hence himself, hence Toru, hence the others. So there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're gonna kill off humanity, it's like, no, that's a little bit too far, man. That's a little too far. And I can't help but remember his debut, I believe it was, where Girori gave him a call and wondering where the hell are the Jimotos at. And of course, Archimedel was giving some kind of excuse to just, hey, like, I need more time. The Jimotos are plants after all, so they need more nourishment, more fertilizer, that sort of thing. But Girori is like, okay, fine, but I need those Jimotos now. And you see him, Archimedel, just listening in and just sticks out his tongue and like, oh man, that was hilarious. You can tell that he had enough. You can tell, like, after this, I'm done. I quit. It's time to fulfill my ambitions, fulfill the Jimoto ambition, and that's it. He's the one who gave the Jimotos a language, and he did everything for these monsters. And then he teamed up with Azu 2.0, who was supposedly the Jimoto sponsor. But then, I'm sure in the beginning he put all his fate in her hands, that she will indeed give what she promised, like for the Jamotos, but she didn't fulfill that promise. And I'm sure he got very frustrated, and he's like, I'm gonna take matters to my own hands. And then of course, let me say this before I move on. How the Jamotos were made? Well, it was due to the fallen Kamen Riders and their ID cores. He was using their ID cores as fertilizer to create the Jamotos. And hence, the clones, that sort of thing. And then, the Toru clone happened. And I can't help but remember, like, Michinaga, when he first met the clone and he transformed into Toru, and he had the same mannerisms, the memories, everything to a T. And Michinaga was like, oh my god, like, he was shocked to see that this monster has Toru's image, his memories, everything. And this is where I don't know, I don't remember exactly if I mentioned it in my Heroes video, but if I have, I do apologize. But what Yuya could have done is that have Michinaga, whether he have him be like, he knew like this is not Toru, but just have him like be attached to clone Toru, and to the point where, look, you may not be my best friend, but you know what? You're close to it. He has some attachments towards the clone. Only to have Ace destroy him right to his face, and all that bad memory of losing Toru the first time and then losing him in the second time really will get Michinaga over the edge. And remember, he was supposedly a half Jamoto, and we could have saw Michinaga turn into a full-fledged Jamoto, which it didn't happen. And it's just a lost opportunity, in my opinion. However, the result was, you saw poor clone Toru asking Michinaga for help, and he just turns around and just tells him, you're not Toru, you're not my friend. My friend is dead. And he just walks away. Well, before that he says, you're nothing more than a tool. You're a monster. And then he just leaves him there to die. Yeah, that's pretty sad. And so with Archimedel, he got eaten. He became like the clone, he became a clone, and he took matters to his own hands, like picking up more cracked ID cores for more Jamoto, and he even got hired to kill Sarah, but it didn't work. And then it led to his demise. I don't remember who killed him. Was it Ace or Michinaga? One of those two. But either way, I don't remember. Look, was it Michinaga? I honestly don't remember. But one of them, or Neon or Keiwa, I don't know. One of them killed the clone, and then at the end of that last scene, it was very sad. Even though he was a clone, you see him dying. You see this white light. He's dying, and you see the squids just gathering around him. You see all these red roses, red petals falling down, and the Archimedel clone was just saying, look, I'm sorry, I tried to give you guys everything, but I failed. I'm happy to see you guys, to see my creation. Don't be sad. And his arm just falls to the ground, and you hear the Jamotos crying over his dead body. It was very sad. It was very sad indeed. But I have to say this. Was he evil? Again, he did he commit bad things? Yes. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard because with these villains, like mostly like Zurel, he just wants to do the grand ending and leave. Niram wants to perform it too. He just want to leave. Did they really committed evil acts? I don't know. You be the judge. But with Archimedel, I understand where he's coming from in terms of the Jimotos. He was sick and tired of watching his creations being destroyed, only for the DGP to call him and say, "Hey, we need Jimotos here. Send more in." And just breeding them and seeing that they have lives, it's just, I would have done the same thing, but not at the cost of humanity. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's very sad. And to put your fate in the wrong person can really go over the edge. Well, someone can really go over the edge, and you're like, okay, I need to do stuff on my own. The so-called Jamoto supporter failed me, so it's time for me to lead the Jamotos into paradise, whatever. But ultimately, you know, the real one got eaten, and then the clone came in, and just, I'm gonna carry out, you know, my master's desire, since it's the clone memory and all, but it didn't work out. But ultimately, his successor took over and is going to lead the Jimotos into a better place, which is a perfect segue into Daichi. Just like Niram, I thought that him and Daichi would have been a perfect Simai, someone who can fight him intellectually. Unfortunately, we didn't see it in Daichi. Sure, Niram had potential to be the Simai, but it didn't happen. You know, I wish Yuya would have done more for him, but it didn't happen. Here with Daichi, when he got first introduced, you know, he said it himself that he is very smart, he's very intelligent. And his wish, even though it was so weird, that he wants to absorb people's knowledge. And the reason why I said he's like the human version of Himeris Mora. Maybe Himeris Mora decided to join the DGP and wants to absorb people's intelligence. I'm like, really? Himeris Mora is in this game? Is in this show? But okay, that's fine. And he appeared to be nice. And you see him talking with Keiwa especially, and you think both of them hit it off right. But no, it was not the case. Because remember, with the whole Death Star situation, and when they came back, this is where Daichi, out of nowhere, decided to throw Keiwa under the bus and pointed the finger at him and deeming him the Death Star. And Keiwa was like, dude, this is like, I told you everything, even though Keiwa was not picked to be the Death Star, obviously, but he confided in him, and Daichi threw it in his face and dubbed him the Death Star. And because of that, he came really close to getting eliminated. Very close. But ultimately, it wasn't the case. It pointed, and they deemed Daichi to be the Death Star, and he got eliminated almost immediately. But the shocker was he wasn't the Death Star. And, you know, and the rest is history. And then he came back. And only this time he joined Azu 2.0, the Mistress of Games, and joined the Jamoto side. And this is where I wish Yuya would have utilized him a little bit more here, because he did not participate during the JGP period. The most of the participation belonged to Michinaga. He was the one, and fake Toru as well, at the front lines participating in these horrible games, since Azu 2.0 set the stage for the rules. If you kill a Kamen Rider, or if you kill somebody, you get 1,000,000 points. If you destroy property, you get this amount of points, that sort of thing. So everything was pretty much destruction and killing. And Daichi did not participate in these games at all. He just remained in the back. I'm sure he was being a strategist, but he didn't do much. And even Anzu 2.0 offered him a Jamoto buckle, which he himself said, "Thank you, but no thank you. I will think about it. But for right now, no thank you." So he didn't do anything during that time at all. I'm not even sure that he did a lot of strategizing and all that. He didn't do anything except seeing Archimedel getting eaten by a Jamoto. He was all shocked and smiley, and you see him, taunting K while being in jail, and then he did participate during the garden situation, the garden invasion, but that was pretty much it. He didn't want to get involved. But I don't remember him getting involved in terms of strategy. But all right, I mean, if you have something for me about Daichi, just write in the comments below, because right now I cannot remember what Daichi did during the JGP period at all. And then we go from there to Michinaga's world and the Desire Royale. I can't help of how Keiwa, Neon, Sarah is different, but still, like, those three writers confined in Daichi. And I can't help but laugh, because do you guys remember him coming back to the waiting lounge, and he had this bag full of cracked ID cores, and he is willing to give them over to Sarah in exchange for something that he wanted. I forgot what it was. And of course Sarah's like, "Nah, I don't trust you." Well, wait a minute. No, Neon was the one who did not trust Daichi. But Sarah was like, "Well, okay, I will." I mean, it's a lot of cores, so okay, fine. As long as you keep your end of the deal, it's fine. And then she leaves, and then you see Keiwa out of nowhere, because he was playing the role of a Pomcha, and he just told Daichi openly, like, "Dude, you better not tell Sarah that I'm here, okay? Or else we can have problems." And Daichi, being the snake that he was, says, "Don't worry, I promise, I'm not gonna rattle you out." And of course, Keiwa even confide in him a bit more. And I'm like, dude, you and Neon are so stupid. I mean, Keiwa, he threw you under the bus and dubbed you as the Death Star, and you nearly got eliminated because of it. Why are you putting your faith in this man? It's so stupid. And ultimately, again, he backstabbing in the back. He gave the coordinates, the location of both Sarah and Neon to Michinaga, because at that time, Michinaga was hunting down Kamen Riders. I just, okay, alright. But ultimately, Michinaga didn't take the bait. Instead, he fought Daichi, and he does his evil evil speech after he got eliminated, that he will be back. You haven't gotten rid of me yet, and blah blah blah. And then we move on to the final part of the show, of the season, I mean. He comes back and he ends up becoming a full-grown Jimoto. So he took the place of Archimedel. He's the one who is now breeding Jimotos. He's the one responsible for the parasites that's been going around. And you see him with a weird paint, like, face job on the side of his face. I'm like, what the hell? What did you do to yourself? I'm like, okay, so Ace brought back all the writer's memories, and you see Daichi hiding somewhere, breeding Jimotos, and he ends up being crazy, mind you, and he has this weird paint job on one of the sides of his face. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell happened to you? And how in the hell did you end up being a Jimoto? Like, there was no flashback as to how he ended up being a Jimoto in the first place. At all. And then he decided to go after Sarah because of Azu 2.0 and Kermit the Frog. They both approached him, offered him a deal, get rid of Sarah, and I don't know what was the end result of that. Like, okay, if I get rid of Sarah, what do I get? We don't know that exchange, but he ended up achieving what everybody else failed. He used the parasite to affect Sarah, the type 2 one, turn her into a Jimoto, and poor Michinaga accidentally, quote unquote, kills her, and you know the rest from there. But in appearance, yes, she died, but she ended up being a part of this tree of knowledge that he created. All the victims that were destroyed end up becoming part of his tree of knowledge, and he absorbs his memories. So, and that was the goal of his. He's using the Jimotos as a means to an end. And then you have Keiwa Kaneki on a revenge trip. He just nearly killed Michinaga, and now he infiltrated the cult of Daichi, because remember, he appeared on screen in front of the city of Tokyo and saying, like, I have this cure for the illness that ails you. You know, I'm your savior. Come in, join my cult, and you'll be saved. And which leads to Keiwa Kaneki infiltrating the cult, and you have this one-on-one exchange that you killed my sister, and of course Daichi tells Keiwa that I have your sister's memories, and blah 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 blah, and of course you saw what happened there. Keiwa nearly killed Daichi, and Kermit the Frog and Azu 2.0 just stood back and did nothing because Daichi was like asking for help, but no, they just both walked away, and he nearly died. But thanks to Ace, you know, he wasn't killed. But like I said some time ago, like, can you imagine if Daichi died and he was the only one to reverse the effects of that tree? Keiwa will never live with himself if he were to discover that, yeah, there is a way to save your sister, but that way was killed. You killed Daichi. Like, ooh, then he'd really be emo. Then he'd be like, oh shit. Yeah. And then we get to see the turning point of his life. because as you remember, he was at the hospital bed. He nearly got killed. And the only one who visited him was Michinaga. Obviously, he didn't visit out of the kindness of his heart. But you saw Daichi. He was wrapped like a mummy. Keiwa really did him good. And again, if it weren't for Ace, then he would be dead. So Michinaga, remember during that hospital scene, is asking Daichi that, hey, is there a way to save Sarah and your other victims? Is there a way? And that's where Daichi tells Michinaga that before Keiwa turned the world upside down, he had this tree where all the victims got turned into this one tree. And I have the antidote to reverse the effects. But in order for me to give the antidote is to go to my tree. And this is where Michinaga's like, okay, so I have to go after, tell Ace or tell Keiwa whatever of the news, and then find a way to reverse, back, to the way things were. And then that's what happened. You have the fight between Keiwa Kaneki and Ace, and then you have Sumuri trying to stop them and telling Keiwa to stop, that please believe in Ace, that he will save people, blah 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 blah. And then you have Keiwa said, show me, or else I'll kill you. And that's where Ace absorbs Sumuri's goddess of creation powers, and he reversed everything back to the way things were. And then we saw Daichi taking Keiwa, Michinaga, and Neon to the forest where the tree of knowledge is at. He took out the antidote where Keiwa just snatches the antidote away and doses Sarah with it, and then she was released from the tree. And then this is where either before or after rescuing Sarah, that Ace tells Daichi, like, look, the way that you're doing, like absorbing people's memories, it's not a way for you to be happy at all. You're just experiencing other people's happiness. It's not your happiness. And you can be happy. It's just the path that you are at right now is leading you to sadness. And that's where Ace planted the seeds of redemption in Daichi. And then, after the rescue, surprisingly, Daichi came into the picture when Kermit the Frog attacked, and by everybody's shock was like, Daichi, you're here? Why? And of course Daichi's like, look, I've been through hell trying to rescue this girl. There's no way in hell I'm gonna let you kill her. And that's where both he and Keiwa will both kidnap. And then we have this awesome scene with those two, and Keiwa's asking him, like, hey, why did you save my sister? And Daichi went on, like, look, I went through your sister's mind. You have a boring life. And even then, you two are happy. He wants to be happy. And Keiwa, before he said anything else, it was funny how he said, look, my life is not boring. It's not dull. But ultimately, he said that you can be happy. It doesn't matter that you have sold your soul to the Jamoto at all. It's all about doing good. If you want to change, it's not too late for you. There is time. And this is Keiwa's way of telling him, look, I forgive you. I forgive you for all the things you have done to me and my sister. I forgive you. By giving him the gift of redemption, giving him the hope that he can change, you know? And that's where Daichi officially went on the road to redemption in the last 2 episodes, where you see him. Well, before that, remember, Keiwa was fighting Kermit the Frog, and his job was to rescue the people who were in chains. And you see these Jamotos trying to break free from this locked cage, whatever. And the goal was for the Jamotos is to eat them. But then it wasn't the case, because what ultimately happened, you see Keiwa all in shock, like it's too late that I failed them. But then you see the Jamotos cutting the chains and just rescuing the people. And Kermit the Frog was shocked, like, what happened? You were supposed to eat them. Oh, yeah. About that, I was the one who created them. I can control them, since I'm a full-blown Jamoto, and he can control them since he's the one who created them. There you go. And then we move on to the final 2 episodes, because he appeared with his Jamotos, helping win, beat up a couple of game masters. And then, at the very end, you see Daichi, growing these Jamotos up, and he wishes, because he wrote one of the wish tablets, that he wished for a world where humanity and Jamotos can coexist in peace. I mean, Daichi did a lot of bad things, but ultimately, thanks to Keiwa and Ace, it gave him the opportunity to change for the better. And it just gives you a lesson that, look, like, you've done bad things, but if you're willing to change, there is hope for you. It's just up to you if you want to change. And if it weren't for those 2 boys, I don't think Daichi would have been, saved, you could say. I think he would have been a dead man, or a dead Jamoto. But ultimately, he did change for the better. And it just goes to show again, people can change if you wanted to. Which leads me to my question, since he is the successor to Archimedel, do you think that Archimedel will appreciate what Daichi has done and say, thank you? You achieved something that I have failed to do. And yes, my way was wrong in terms of trying to get rid of humanity, but at least you are giving me hope and a reason to find peace, that my Jamotos will live in peace, and hopefully in the future, Jamotos and humans can coexist. It's just food for thought. Do you think Archimedel would have said thank you to Daichi? I'm curious. But yes, at least Daichi, out of all the villains, head quotes, this, he got a happy ending. And, and Daichi, he wanted revenge on Keiwa and just wanted to go after him, and the best way to go after him is the sister. And he ended up succeeding, and he nearly got killed for it. But ultimately, not just Ace, but also ultimately, I believe that what really helped him to change is Keiwa's forgiveness. And that's very powerful. Of course, he didn't actually said I forgive you, Daichi, but he gave Daichi the hope that yes, you can change. If you want to change, go ahead. You know, there is hope for you. And that's the best gift anybody can give, in my opinion. And it's very beautiful. Other than that, I mean, there isn't too much to say about Daichi. I think I said everything that needed to be said, at least the important stuff. But yeah, a great ending for him. And he's still a Jimoto. But it's just, how in the hell did you end up being a Jimoto? There was no cutscene at all. There was no explanation either. But at least, for the most part, he ain't crazy anymore. And he doesn't have that weird paint job. That's the important part. Yep. Alrighty then. I'm saving the best one for last. And I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about here. So I'm going to save it for last. So I want to move on to that doesn't want to be redeemed. Someone who I strongly believe that Yuya really missed the ball. And he only had a cup of tea, and again he disappeared. And that character is Kanato Sumida, aka Monokuma. Oh man, Yuya, you seriously dropped the ball. He is someone who would have been, I don't know, like he would have been one of the greatest threats in Geats. Because he just doesn't care. He just wants to destroy people's happiness. And he could have done a lot of damage if you would have kept him. But no, you didn't. And with his origin story, to me it wasn't enough. Sure, he lost his ability to play basketball after a freak accident, but to me it's just, you need more to really turn him into, oh, I hate humanity, I hate life, so I want to destroy everything. Like, for instance, I will give you, if I were Yuya, I would have done this. Okay. Freak accident, he loses the ability to play basketball. Okay. What if I added, okay, he had a girlfriend. She broke up with him. Okay. That's another smack. Next thing you know, maybe he sees one of his parents cheating on the other. That's another hit. They get divorced. Another hit. He lost his job. Another hit. And then, worse comes to shove, he doesn't graduate. And then you be like, okay, I get it. Life really dealt you very hard. Life gave you a very, like a sucky hand. I would have felt like a bit understanding and empathetic, but that's where my feelings end. Because he is someone who is like, okay, I'm not happy, so you're not going to be happy either. I want the world to know my pain. And I will inflict it on everybody. You know, that was it. And he had his targets, well, one target to Neon specifically. Because remember, she asked for true love as her wish. And you have Monokuma was like, that's ridiculous. And I will make you lose. You know, that's, you know, I remember that he was like, no, you're going to lose. You're not going to get your wish. He was determined to destroy her. And then he wanted to tag team with Michinaga. That didn't work. And then, you know, if you remember, he was infected by a parasite, if you remember, in one of the zombie game. He was infected. He was going to turn into a zombie Jimoto. And at the end of that episode, you saw his arm getting infected. And he was planning on using his infection to spread the virus onto everybody else. And remember, he shot Ace. He at least tried to shoot Ace and other riders, and he was not supposed to hurt any other riders because that's part of the rules, unless otherwise. And so he was immediately, well, after the game, he was immediately disqualified, and he did his evil villain speech with an evil laugh, and you see him retire. And then all of a sudden, at the tail end of Geats, he was brought back thanks to Azu 2.0, the Mistress of Games, as someone to kill Neon. And then remember that scene with Mother Neon and Neon shopping, and then Monokuma appears out of nowhere and he remembers everything. He transforms and he shot Mother Neon at the arm, but Neon, as advanced of a fighter she was now, she easily defeats him. He runs away, and he joins Keiwa Kaneki's gang for a little bit. And Keiwa Kaneki was like, "No, I don't want him here. Why did you bring him here?" And of course, you have Monokuma, giving him like, we're the same, you and I. Like, you're no different than I am. So shut up, sit down. And then you see Monokuma again, but he does not fight. He's just there being an audience, witnessing, Keiwa versus Ace. And that was it. That was it. And it's just, again, it's so disappointing because he had so much potential. Because if you would have brought him back earlier during the JGP time, can you just imagine, Kanato, Azu 2.0, Evil Greenhouse Man, Daichi, and Michinaga, even though he was like he was in it for himself, he wasn't really part of the anti-rider gang. But can you imagine him being a part of that group and the damage he could have done? Man, Yuya, you really dropped the ball here. And then seeing him tag team with her, tag teaming with Daichi, and just, it would have been so good. And then during the Battle Royale saga, and just have him just eliminate riders left and right, even though Michinaga was the one who was eliminating riders. But can you imagine him being back amongst the likes of Sarah, with Neon and Keiwa and Daichi? I mean, come on now. And then leading up to, the Keiwa Kaneki situation, and he would have stayed. I could have imagined he would have stayed. And would he have joined Zurel? I'm not sure. Would Zurel want to take a guy who just wants to destroy everything? I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I believe Jitto would have kept him in line. I believe so. But ultimately, he's such a wild card. But my God, Yuya, Kanato, why did you eliminate him so early and not brought him back sooner? Why bring him back at the tail end of your show, only to disappear once again? I mean, golly, man. I don't know which is worse. The opportunity, the lost opportunity that you didn't give Monokuma, or was it the god-awful Guy character? Like, I still believe Guy is one of the worst characters he ever made. But it's just, I believe that Yuya really made the mistake here. Like should have he should have been brought back during the JGP era into the Grand Royale to the end. But I don't know. It's so disappointing and frustrating as I'm telling you guys this, because he is such a wild card. He doesn't care who he hurts as long as they hurt, because he is in a lot of pain. And he feels that life has given him the finger so many times that, you know what? Screw life. If I see anybody happy, I'm gonna take it and destroy it, and the world will feel my pain. And it's just, again, the missed opportunity to see him interact with Beroba, to Daichi even, is just, ooh, a lost opportunity, man. It's just, if anything, I think that's one of the reasons why Geats would have been perfect if Monokuma would have stayed. But it is what it is. But that's the reasons why I added Monokuma to the list, because he is irredeemable. He could have done a whole lot of damage to the heroes. And imagine, again, with the likes of Azu 2.0 and Daichi, I mean, Jesus, that would have been, a force to be reckoned with. But it is what it is. And if I repeated myself, I do apologize. So, yeah. Alrighty then. From Monokuma, Kanato Sumida, we move on to Jitto. Jitto, I feel like he isn't a villain, because he was a man on a mission. His mission was to capture Sumuri, kill Ace, and perform the grand ending, and that was it. He was sent by Suel to finish the job, but it didn't happen. He came close. He did do half of the mission, but when you think about it, he kind of completed his mission, because, okay, he did capture Sumuri, even though it was only temporary. And then, using the Stone of Tear, he created a evil clone of Sumuri. And because of that, evil Sumuri possessed good Sumuri to kill Ace. So when you think about it, he did accomplish maybe 2 out of 3 in terms of the mission, because the last part of the mission was to do the grand ending, which he didn't do. Is he a villain? I don't think so. He is more like a brute. And can you imagine if he would have shown up at the same time Suel appeared? And he would have been an excellent bodyguard. Someone that Suel can send down and just say, hey, go finish Ace off. And he is an excellent fighter, even with his baton. There was pictures online of just fan art where he had his rider form, Omega, and his signature weapon was his baton. Oh man, I'm glad that they didn't add that to the suit. I'm so glad that they didn't use the baton, because it would have appeared so silly. Oh man, but yeah, there is fan art somewhere on Facebook with Jitto as Omega, and he was using his baton. Anyways, like I said, he's more of a bodyguard, and he's the one who takes the orders and just do what he needs to do. He had Samas, but she was useless. Um, he loves to fight. He loves to use his fist. He loves to use his baton. And poor Win, when I'm surprised he didn't land himself in the hospital, because by God, the moment those two met, they were fighting bare fist, and then he unleashed the baton and just hits him, and then again with the tag team, and of course he gets beat up again. When follows Jitto to the hideout, he successfully rescues Sumiri, but again he gets beat up. Like, I mean, Win has become Jito's punching bag for real. Again, Win should have just landed himself in the hospital after how many beatdowns? And I believe the actor, he is a fighter. Like, is he good in martial arts or mixed martial arts? But man, he's very good. He's a good fighter. And I can't help but remember that one scene where you have Ace and Sumeri, at the clothing store, and as they were about to leave or whatever, Jitto appears from the back. Like, he came in from the back of the store, and he didn't say anything at all, and just stares at Ace, like, and Ace knew what was gonna go down, and like, don't worry, Sumidi, I got this, and they both went outside. But guys, I have this thought. If Toei would have like paid up for the insurance of the building, can you imagine the fight? Instead of being under the bridge, can you imagine the fight being inside that clothing store? Can you imagine? It's like Booker T and Stone Cold at the supermarket. That kind of reminds me of that. Can you imagine if Toei Studios were to pay up a little bit of extra cash just to have the actors just fight inside that store and just go on like punching each other to throwing clothes at the other and throwing mannequins, and you see Ace's fans just looking from the outside all screaming and like, don't hurt my Ace, being the super fans as they are. Maybe one of them will call the police on Jitto, I don't know, but it would have been so funny if they would have done that, but it didn't happen. It was another missed opportunity. And another thing too that I can never forget was Jitto putting Keiwa Kaneki at his place. I was bursting out laughing. I was not feeling sorry for Keiwa, because even though he got his wish, I mean, it literally blew up in his face. His family was killed, and he just went running back to Jitto, and he was pissed. He was like, am I being punked here? This is not what I wanted. My family is dead again. What the hell? And Jitto said, this is the wish that you wanted. It's just that not only you brought back your family and the others back, but you also brought back the bad ones too. And he's scrolling down the list of people who were criminals. And which leads me to something that I missed in the Heroes video when I was doing Michinaga, was that how in the hell did only the criminals were brought back, but not people like Toru? Why didn't they brought back, I think somebody else, maybe the girl who died during the new regime? Like, all the good writers, more specifically Toru, how come Toru never made it back and helped Michinaga out? That would have been a great dynamic to have the real Toru tag team with Michinaga and help him find Sarah. It would have been great. And it would have been sad at the same time, because you know that once Ace reversed the effects of the wish, Toru will be dead again. I would have liked to seen both Toru and Michinaga have this one last talk, one last time, and really have Michinaga like, rest easy, my friend is at peace. That would have been wonderful, but that's just another missed opportunity. But yeah, with Jitto, showing the list, and Kei was like, I want a do-over, I demand a do-over. And he just throws him down to the floor and just like, hey, you want your wish? Then kill Ace. That's your job. Or else you get nothing. And you see K-Wall just all whimpery, sad. He turned into emo Kaneki. Emo K-Wall Kaneki. And look, he had a massive power-up in the Black General buckle, and he just whimpers when Jitto threw him down. He wasn't even a true villain. He wasn't evil, or else he would have stood up against Jitto and not have him throw him down to the ground as he did. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, Jitto, was he a villain? Not really. He was just following orders. He's an excellent fighter. The match that he had with Ace in their suit forms, it really told the story. I really enjoyed it very much. You can tell that the suit actors were really giving their all. Kudos to them. You can tell it was one of the better matches than KY versus Ace. That's just my opinion, but it is what it is, at least for me. Anything else about Jitto? I mean, what else can you say? I don't have anything to say except that Jitto was not really human at all, because once he was defeated, he was absorbed by none other than Zurel, and according to Zurel, Jitto was nothing more than a piece of himself. That was it, And speaking of Zurel, why not just segue into Zurel? He was the mastermind of everything. He is the true leader of the DGP. He is the cause of everything. He was the one who turned Ace's mother into the goddess of creation, into a stone statue, and he disappeared for a while. Like, we don't know exactly if Zurel was actually human once. Like, we don't know anything about his backstory, because you see Zurel as a spirit, because you see him floating around sometimes, and it's almost like if he was a ghost or a wraith, whatever, because all you see of Zurel is his robes and his iconic mask, and that was it. He entered into the show as someone who's like, hey, I'm here to play a game. It's called the Desire Royale, I think. And your job as writers is to kill every writer. Last writer standing, you get a wish. That was it. But it was all a front, because Zurel used the opportunity to get the writers distracted so that he can resurrect Win and Niram and perform the grand end. That was the plan. But Win rebelled. Niram, when he tried to do the right thing, he got shot. And Zurel was like, okay, well, I have to perform it on my own. He ultimately succeeded, but thanks to Ace, he stopped him, and Zurel was like, okay, you may have defeated me, but I'll be back. And I'll send down Jitto to finish the job. That was it. And then he came back for the last 2 episodes, and he transformed to Omega with a giant flaming eye, which, I mean, I don't like the repainted and the add-on suits. I don't want to go over it again, but I have to say the eye was definitely a nice touch. I mean, that's just my opinion. And then he was unstoppable for a while, and then it took all the riders to actually defeat him, and then the confusing part happened. So after Ace defeats him, Zurel appears, and everyone's like, oh great, he survived. But then next thing you know, you hear Ace in the background saying, no, you're dead. And then you see him, like he lost control of his body. You see his mask starting to crack, and then it was revealed to be Ace, and everybody, including myself, was like, what? So Zurel was actually Ace all this time? Until people online were saying, like, no, I think Ace went inside his body and killed him from within. That's why he popped out the way he did. But it still doesn't make any sense, because Zurel doesn't have a physical body. He's also a spirit. So how can a spirit possess another spirit? To me, it didn't make any sense. Even Ace never really explained to people how he did it. You know, he just killed Zurel, tells everybody, okay, here's the world that I promised ya, and it's best to forget about me, and he leaves. That was it. Zurel was not really an effective villain. He was there for a short amount of time. He didn't really do much. I have to say it, because there is maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 people on the villains list that did something that really screwed up everything. More specifically, one person, which I will save her for last. But Zurel, like, he had the makings of the villain, but in my opinion, he wasn't. He didn't really do much. I mean, he fought Ace, but multiple times, but it's just, he didn't do any damage, in my opinion. I do apologize that I don't have anything else to say about Zurel, but he's just a lousy villain. All he did was turn Ace's mother into a statue, and he tried to perform the grand ending and failed miserably, and he got killed by Ace from within. That was it. And was beaten by 3 riders. I mean, there's nothing more to say. Like I mentioned before, if you have something you want to add with any of these characters, by all means, write on the comments below, because right now I can't think of anything else about Zurel. I do apologize on that. So moving on from Zurel, I think I only have 2 people left. Oh man, just 2 people left. And you already know which 2 I have left to talk about. So let's move on to Kekera, aka Kermit the Frog, the fallen one, the supporter of Keiwa, the advocate of Tycoon. He, I thought, was a hero. He was another Gene. He was the one who gave counsel and was there for Keiwa. the reason that he picked Keiwa is because he believed in his cause. That's why, he joined him and say, hey, I'm Kekera, I'm your supporter now. The reason why I want to support you because you are the embodiment of what a true Kamen Rider is. But in reality, he had a hidden agenda. So let me start with, the introduction. Like I said, when everything was revealed to be a reality show, you had the supporters, the sponsors, everything. And then Keiwa met with Kekera and he was surprised that he has a supporter. And Kekera mentioned, like, hey, you are too trusting. You are too nice for your own good. And he was right, because we saw time after time that he's been like his ideals, his like his character was used against him. Like, he's far too nice for his own good. That's why he got tricked multiple times by Ace. And then him being too trusting with people, aka Daichi, and you know what happened there. And he was right. He told Keiwa that, hey, you need to turn that off, or else how are you going to win? And it was later revealed that he was the one who sent the booster buckles every single time. And I was like, Yuya, why did you add that in? You just took away what being tycoon, like, it was special. You took something that was so special from being Kamen Rider Tycoon. And to me, in my opinion, he blew it. That's just me. He took away what was special about being Tycoon. But, it is what it is. I was screaming at my screen when it was revealed. But, But then, we move on to the death of Keiwa during the Heaven and Hell game. And this is where Kermit the Frog turned to the dark side. Was he evil all along? I don't know. Because here's the thing. He kind of reminds me of Master Lee from Jade Empire. At first, he was a caring, loving master who cared about everybody. And then it was revealed that he was the true villain of the game. He was the reason why everything went down the toilet. He trained the main character to be his tool for revenge. And now that he's become a god, everything has fallen into place and, blah, blah, blah. To me, Kermit the Frog reminds me a whole lot of Master Lee. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing. But I truly believe that he really did care for Keiwa and his cause. That's why he became one of his faves. He became an advocate. But like I mentioned, everything changed the moment he died. And then after Chirami died, he took the Vision Driver and met up with Azu 2.0, the Misters of Games, and made a deal. Where Keiwa is allowed to be brought back to life. In exchange, you can have the Vision Driver, but also he added more despair her way in the case of Sarah. Now, this is where he used Sarah to emotionally blackmail her, twist her arm into joining the Desire Royale, because he told her that if you want your brother to remain alive, you have to participate in this game. And Sarah, she felt that she had no choice but to do so. And when Keiwa was brought back and it was revealed that Sarah is a Kamen Rider now, he went directly to Kermit the Frog and demanded some answers. And that's where Kermit the Frog, lied to his face. He lied. No, it wasn't me. It was Sarah herself. She demanded that she wanted to participate in order to bring you back. So yeah, don't blame me. And that's where, Keiwa decided, look, you know what? I will return to be a Kamen Rider, but I don't want my sister to know. Can you help me hide from her while participating in the game? And you saw him with his lame attempts to hide from her, and all the while he's trying to protect her. But luckily she had Neon, but then even Neon and Keiwa combined, they cannot stop Michinaga or Daichi from killing her or whatever. So then later on, it was revealed the true reason why Sarah was a part of the games is to kill her off. He wanted Sarah gone in order for Keiwa to evolve into what he thinks a Kamen Rider truly is. So what I got from that, I was like, is he trying to turn Keiwa into Batman here? Because you know what happened with Batman, and the loss of his family, and that was the key moment for Batman to arise. The same thing happened here in a way, because the goal was, okay, have Sarah participate, send down Daichi or evil greenhouse man clone to kill her. Keiwa gets devastated, he is broken, and then mold him into the true Kamen Rider that he was meant to be. But when he lost, air quotes, Sarah, he turned dark side. And this is where Kermit the Frog approached him and be like, hey, there is a way for you to bring her back. And of course, Keiwa was like, okay, yeah, I do know what you're talking about here. And that's when he went after Sumori. And then after he attained the Black General form, he got his wish. Everything changed. And that's where Kekera really became the advocate for Keiwa. Because if you remember, Keiwa burst into the Rider Gang hideout, and Kekera announced to everybody, hey, meet your new leader. And, you have the fight between Keiwa and, the leader of the Kamen Rider Gang, whatever. He won, and Kekera was like, hey, Keiwa won, bow your heads, he's your new leader now. And you saw all the gang members changing their colors and everything and bowing their heads to Keiwa. And then you saw him and Beroba watching this beatdown of Daichi, and he was happy into witnessing like Keiwa being all ruthless and showing no mercy. He was happy, if you remember. He was getting giddy, like, go on, my fave, keep beating him up. And Daichi was like, oh, screw you, you used me for this. And Daichi was like, look, they're the ones that killed your sister. They told me to kill her, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Kei was like not listening. He did not care. And he nearly killed him. But Ace, saves him at the nick of time. And then, when Keiwa turned back to the light side and didn't want nothing to do with Kermit the Frog anymore, this is where Kermit the Frog was very, like took offense. Like, you bit the hand that fed you. You know what? I'm gonna take revenge. I'm gonna give you a painful a lesson. And he ultimately, kidnapped Keiwa and Daichi to participate in this final game between the two. Remember, he kidnapped three innocents, and the goal was in the game, you stop me? Well, the goal is to rescue those three souls before the Jamotos eat them. But you have to stop me in order to get to them. And the fight between those two was very emotional, you can tell. And it was, like I said, it was very emotional up to the very end. And Keiwa defeats him using the Black General form. And Kekera, gave him one final lesson in the question. Look, a path of a Kamen Rider is never going to be easy. There's going to be trials up ahead. And there will be things that you may not gonna like, because being a hero is not easy. Are you capable of going that path? And Keiwa gave an excellent answer, which made Kermit the Frog be all happy, and then he died while doing his signature pose. I mean, Kermit the Frog, like, you don't know his true intentions, but at the end, he really did care for Keiwa. But it's strange how he views what a Kamen Rider is. In my personal opinion, I think Keiwa was the embodiment of what a Kamen Rider is meant to be. He was a role model. He was far too trusting and nice, but at the same time, he's what a hero is, in my opinion. It's just, I didn't understand why Kermit the Frog had this motion of, okay, what Keiwa Kaneki is the true embodiment of what a Kamen Rider is, which is not. It's not. But I'm guessing what he was trying to do for Keiwa is to turn him into Batman. That's the vibe I was getting at. But the real, you could say, tragic thing that it wasn't mentioned was that Kermit the Frog never told Keiwa that he was the one who lied to his face about Sarah getting involved. He was the one who dragged poor Sarah into this mess in order to be killed. Because remember, during the Christmas episode, I wanted Sarah to die in order for Keiwa to really turn into a different person. Not evil, but more of, like, I can't afford to be nice anymore. Many people, like Ace especially, tricked me. My sister is gone, and I really need to win in order to bring back my sister. Maybe turn into, not like as an anti-hero, not a full-blown villain, but an anti-hero. But instead, Yuya decided to pull the trigger at the very end. But, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, what else? It's just, what I'm trying to say here is that it was never revealed to Keiwa that he was the reason why Sarah was involved. I was the one who sent people like Daichi and Archimedel to try and kill her in order for you to become, air quotes, Batman. And the shock of this revelation will devastate Keiwa, but it didn't happen that way. I think Yuya didn't want to take away that moment where Keiwa answered, yes, I do want to continue on this heroic path, and have Kermit the Frog be like, yes, I'm proud of you, my apprentice, and have him die the way that he did. I think that's the reason why. But it is what it is, right? But other than that, I think that's all I have of Kermit the Frog. Like, he was a hero, but then he ended up turning into a villain. But I don't know, like, his motivations, like he's a character that is difficult to read. Was he a true villain at the very end? I don't know. But he did do a lot of bad things. I give him that. And his premium form, it looked more alien than anything else. I honestly thought that he would turn into a Kamen Rider, but ultimately he turns into a Zord. But then you have that premium form that looked more like an alien. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It was an okay suit, but yeah. If you have anything to add for Kermit the Frog, write on the comments below. So this is it, guys. The last character. And you already know who that is. Drum roll, please. Beroba. Azu 2.0, the mistress of games, the sponsor of the Jamotos. She is the embodiment of a villain, what true evil is, in my opinion. The reason why I call her Azu 2.0 is because if you put her picture next to Azu, to me, they look exactly the same. Without the headphones, that is. And if 01 had more time, I think Azu would have become what Beroba is right now. But that's just my opinion. But Azu 2.0, she has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. She is like Monokuma. And like I said in mentioning Monokuma, what a lost opportunity to see Monokuma and Azu 2.0 working together during the JGP Wars. Like, ooh, what a missed opportunity. But hey, she has Michinaga, whether Michinaga likes it or not. She reminds me, aside from Azu, she reminds me a whole lot of Alti from Xena Warrior Princess, where Beroba, she feeds on people's despair. She feeds on people's suffering. And you have Alti, who feeds on people's fear in order to get stronger. Obviously, Alti has powers while Beroba has no powers. But she likes to feed on people's misery. And she transforms into a giant ox Zord. And then, of course, she has the premium card, which transforms her into another alien monster. But you can tell that the actress had so much fun. And from what I heard, her character wasn't meant to last very long. But due to the actress, was able to portray her so well, and she was likable amongst the fans, that the people from the back decided, hey, just keep her to the very end. She's very good. And I'm happy that she was able to stay as long as she was able to. She likes to torment people. That's why she was targeting Neon so much. For some reason, she wanted to target her because she knew about the family's dirty little secret. And the way she revealed it to the world was so horrible. Like, I remember she was using her chibi avatar and she was talking through it and announcing Neon's origins, and it just, it was so terrible. And then um the matchup she had between Michinaga, that final matchup, I mean, Jesus, like they put everything in that match. um that was Michinaga's way of just letting go of his sinful past, his involvement with her, and just letting it go. And even at the very end, Azu 2.0 still considers Michinaga as her faves until the very end. And I can't help but remember Azu 2.0 just being in front of the beaten down Michinaga and just rubbing it in his face about what happened and relishing in his despair. And then the reverse returned when Neon defeated her, and she was walking gingerly in some alley. She falls down and she looks through a broken mirror, and she's surprised to see her all scared in despair. And then here comes Michinaga telling the same lines, throwing the same lines back at her, and you see her go insane as he leaves. I'm like, damn. I also remember Michinaga saving Azu 2.0 from Ace, and I remember she thought she was gonna get killed, but then Michinaga stepped in, and Bebela's like, "Oh, you're here to rescue me?" And Michinaga's like, "Hell no, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the Vision Driver. I'm taking it back. What are you talking about?" And he ends up leaving her with it. Oh man, both Michinaga and Bebela, they have a weird relationship, if you can even call it that. And how she became Michinaga's sponsor, I don't remember exactly what happened, but she was intrigued by him, and especially when he was revived back due to the magic of the zombie buckle. And that's where Michinaga joined forces with her, and then the JGP was born, and then she brought in Daichi into the mix, and she was just causing havoc. She was the one who stole the Vision Driver, and she had her own ambitions as well, because I think one of her wishes was, I want to stay on this earth until I get my delicious despair, something around those lines. And then she was still going after Neon, and then she summoned Monokuma to add more despair. And then you have her taunting Michinaga, "Hey, you did a lot of bad things, and I like you better when you were on my side, when you were playing the role as a villain." And Michinaga's like, "I'm not that life anymore. Like, I'm trying to make things right, and you're not helping. You're not a part of that." Other than that, I'm trying to remember anything else about her, because ultimately, she is a villain that cannot be redeemed. She feeds on despair, and when it's thrown back at her, she gets all crazy and mad, and she didn't like that. Oh yes, another cool thing that I remember. Niram discovered the location of where the Jamoto Gardens were, and that's where their hideout was. And I remember the riders invading their territory, and this is where Beroba reveals to Ace that, hey, we're people from the future. And not only that, she transformed into her Zord form, and she just blew up the joint. And poor evil greenhouse man is yelling at Bevola, who, mind you, she was at the sky, and he was screaming at her that don't do it, and she ended up destroying the gardens. And I was like, okay, they will survive somehow, but then they never give out an explanation as to how, because it's like she unleashed an atomic bomb on the gardens with everybody in it. And I'm like, how did you guys survive? How did you teleport yourselves away? There was no explanation whatsoever. But you did see the riders all in bandages and band-aids, but still, I'm like, how did you survive that blast? I mean, golly. And I remember too that Bebela really does make an entrance. I remember when she was there watching on, and then you got the other sponsors getting involved, and you see 3 against 1, a Bebela versus Kiru, Kermit the Frog, and Gene. And ultimately it just ends up in a mismatch. They both went on the merry ways, and then the tag team of her and Kekera, and the rest is history. I mean, like I mentioned before with Monokuma, it's just another lost opportunity to see them both work together, and just it still hurts, man. It still hurts. I'm not really a fan of his, but it's just the way that his character is, and how Azu 2.0, who relishes in people's misery and despair, will like nothing more to tag team with someone with similar interests. But even though at the end of the day, I still feel that Michinaga will always have a place in her heart, regardless. But like I mentioned, in that final match, as she was dying, she still like loves him. She's still a fave of hers. Hopefully you will join in my hell too. And Michinaga's like, all right, well, you have to wait for me in hell. Okay, you will wait for me in hell. I'm like, damn, what a damn, man. Seriously though, the relationship between those two was ooh. But what else can I say about her? She is fun. She is always eating her candy, to doing the raspberry at people. She loves to create chaos. She has this obsession over Michinaga to Neon and nobody else. And it's just, man, I mean, she is a legit villain. Amongst all the people that I added into this video for the villains, she is the one that really did damage. I keep repeating myself, but it's like, if you would have added Monokuma into the mix, you have Bebula at first place, and then you have Sumida at second, and then you have Daichi in third. That's my placement in terms of villains. But other than that, I wish I had more to say about Azu 2.0, the Mistress of Games, but there's nothing more to be said. I mean, there are some events, like I remember, Azu 2.0 announcing herself as being the Mistress of Games. That here I'm declaring the JGP. Let the games begin. Here are the rules. Here are the bells. And she even offered Daichi to join in with, by offering him the Jamoto buckle, but he refused to take it. And of course, even after the JGP, she still gets involved with Daichi, and until she ends up betraying him. And by God, I mean, yeah, this character, wow, she's a well-written character. And I think this is like one of those lightning in the bottles type of thing. Will there be another villain just like her? Who knows? I just hope to God that Yuya, when he has another writer project to do or a Sentai, I hope he doesn't pull what he did with Guy. That's all I got to say about that. Because with someone like with Beroba to what's his face? I forgot the guy who plays Dark Xade. Those two characters are one of a kind, and if he tries to replicate those characters, it's gonna blow up in his face. That's just my opinion, but the proof is in Guy. That's all I'm gonna say about it. There's nothing more to be said, unfortunately. I wish I can say more about the Mistress of Games, but there isn't. Except, in my opinion, I think she's one of the top villains of all time. Yeah, she is, in my opinion. And there's not going to be anybody like her. Not for a long time. I believe she is a lightning in a bottle. She just was at the right place at the right time. Well-written character, and the best actress that can play her. It just fit, But what can I say? The Mistress of Games herself, Beroba, she is the villain of the story. Now that the characters are over, it's time for me to briefly say about the suits, the rider suits. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the Girori rider suit, the purple and the red, is the best one. I'm just a little bit tired of the repainted Vision Kamen Rider suits. I wish each of them were different designs, but it is what it is. The premium suits are okay, and I think that's it. And now I will move on to the closing about my general thoughts about Kamen Rider Geats as a whole. As a whole, I consider Geats to be a great show. It wasn't perfect due to the hit and misses that I mentioned in this video and my Heroes video. I'm not going to repeat what I said in here, but you already know my hits and misses about the show. Aside from that, I consider Geats one of the best Kamen Rider shows in this era. It really set the bar up. It's better than 01. It's way better than Saber. It's way better than Revice. I believe that Geats really set the bar up. And like I mentioned during my Gotcha conference video, and I believe in my first pilot video for episode 1, that Gotcha really has its hands full, because Geats sets up the bar way high, and I don't think that Gotcha will break that bar. I just don't think so. It's too early to tell, but so far after 2 episodes, I'm getting Saber vibes. I'm getting Ghost vibes. I don't think it's gonna break Geats' bar at all. It may change as the episodes move forward, but for right now, I don't think that Gacha is gonna break that bar. I don't think so. Geats, like you can tell, Toei Studios really like made this show work from backstage, from Yuya being the head writer, which I believe that he improved since his last two works in 01 and X8. He improved, even though he did miss good opportunities to make the show even better to the level of perfect. But again, I already mentioned my grievances, so I'm not gonna repeat it here. But other than that, he did a great job. I'm not sure that he was behind the casting, whether he was or wasn't. The casting director did a great job in casting those kids because they clicked. Like, I've been through plays before, and to have a cast that really clicks is very, I'm not saying that it's rare, but to have a cast that really is in sync and be able to click, like, it really works. You can tell on the screen. You can tell that the actors who played Sarah and Keiwa, they made me believe that they were legit brother and sister. And also amongst the other cast members, you can tell that they really are clicking with each other, and just made me believe. And I have to give credit to the suit actors. I know I mentioned it so many times, but I felt that the suit actors for Geats, they really set the bar up. Like, I never felt like the suit actors did so much from let's say Bill to Ghost, but here you can tell that the suit actors really gave their all. You see it in their stunts, and it's just like, wow, the stunt team really are giving everything this time. I wonder what it was that made him like, okay, we really need to step it up here with our stunts here. But I need to give kudos to them because, Jesus, you can tell. But ultimately, if I were to recommend anybody who is new to Kamen Rider, I would definitely recommend Geats to them, for sure. Maybe not their first time, but second. But hell, maybe I will introduce one of my friends who wants to learn about Kamen Rider to, hey, you want to watch Geats? I recommend it to you. It's really good. And it's at my top 5 right now. And it sucks to actually witness the ending of Geats because you want more. Like, you feel like it needs a season 2, but I think with that ending, I don't think it really needs a season 2. It isn't. But that's just me. But my overall thoughts about the show, even though with the hiccups that I just mentioned, is still a great show. And I definitely recommend it to people. And yeah, so thank you so much, Kamen Rider Geats, people from behind the scenes. Thank you to the cast. Thank you to the stunt team. You really gave it your all on this show, and the audience, including myself, have noticed. And I will miss you guys so much. And hopefully it comes out on DVD and I'll be the first to buy it and recommend it. And this is officially my last video for Kamen Rider Geats. And I just want to say thank you so much for entertaining me. Thank you so much. And I will see you all on the other side of oblivion. Jane. Thank you, Geats. Thank you, Geats. Thank you so much. Bye bye.